Welcome, and thank you for joining me on the Path of Seeker. Today I wanted to go a little bit more into the hero's journey and cover some information that will tie into things later on as we go through this 12-month journey through the 12 different zodiacal signs. And this is very important because there is a transition period there when we hit the 13th moon in August. That's going to be very interesting. So I wanted to share this passage with you from Joseph Campbell's The Hero with 1,000 Faces. And this is in the chapter, page 44, that is for Call to the Adventure. The disgusting and rejected frog or dragon of the fairy tale brings up the sunball in its mouth. For the frog, the serpent, the rejected one, is the representative of that unconscious deep, so deep that the bottom cannot be seen, wherein are hoarded all of the rejected, unadmitted, unrecognized, unknown, or undeveloped factors, laws, and elements of existence. Those are the pearls of the fabled submarine palaces of the Nixies, Tritons, and Water Guardians, the jewels that give light to the demon cities of the underworld, the fire seeds in the ocean of immortality, which supports the earth and surrounds it like a snake, the stars in the bosom of immortal night. Those are the nuggets in the gold hoard of the dragon, the guarded apples of the Hesperides, the filaments of the golden fleece. The herald or announcer of the adventure, therefore, is often dark, loathly, or terrifying, judged evil by the world. Yet if one could follow, the way would be opened through the walls of day into the dark where the jewels glow. Or the herald is a beast, as in the fairy tale, representative of the repressed instinctual fecundity within ourselves, or again a veiled, mysterious figure, the unknown. So that's going to be important, the rejected one, when we get to the 13th moon. And then on page 49, the first page of the chapter for Refusal of the Call, it says, often in actual life, and not infrequently in the myths and popular tales, we encounter the dull case of the call unanswered. For it is always possible to turn the ear to other interests. Refusal of the summons converts the adventure into its negative. Walled-in boredom, hard work, or culture. The subject loses the power of significant affirmative action and becomes a victim to be saved. His flowering world becomes a wasteland of dry stones, and his life feels meaningless. Even though, like King Minos, we may, through titanic effort, succeed in building an empire of renown. Whatever house he builds, it will be a house of death, a labyrinth of cyclopean walls, to hide from him his minotaur. All he can do is create new problems for himself and await the gradual approach of his disintegration. So there we have it. Those are the two passages about the call of adventure and refusal of the call that I wanted to cover. Now, it's very interesting that you can actually refuse the call. When it comes to the 12 zodiacal system that starts with Aries and the start of the new year, you can't really ignore that call to adventure. As I've said in my initial videos, this is kind of the normal path that everybody takes, the 12 system. We go through it every year. We start off with Aries, which is the very first moon, the first blush of the beginning of things. There's not much of a differentiation there. I think Levine recently said in one of his videos that it's in the Aries sign that you can't tell the difference between the different types of plants that are growing. A giant redwood looks just like a cornstalk when it first starts growing. You can't really tell. You can see the roots and you can see a little bud, and that's about it. Some people might be able to tell based on the seed as it comes off, but most of us can't tell the difference between a small sapling and a small bush. They look very similar when they're just that little stick of green blade sticking up out of the soil. And that's where Aries is. It's the new buds moon. And I can tell you that looking at my tree, the mulberry tree that I have outside, when it hits spring, there are just fresh little new buds on the tree, and you can't tell what's going to happen. Now, the interesting thing to me is that the herald of these adventures starts out with something loathsome. It's something dark. And that's kind of the reason that there's something wrong in the story. You can tell that something's a little bit off and that something's going to happen. It's not quite the hook. The hook usually starts with the next level, which is the companion, the person who comes, the wise person that they encounter. Or the wise guide, I should say. But here we do find a little bit of a hint. And I think that we can always see that in most stories, as we see that little hint that something's going to go on. And when it comes to a new zodiacal year, we know there's a little hint that the year is going to be like something. We can tell from just that first month, the flavor of it, that it sets a tone for the entire year. Now, personally, I actually do readings for the whole year. I pulled a oracle stone for this year, and I always do what I see in the entertainment. So I always do kind of identify a theme at the beginning of the year for the entire year. And that can be applied to stories as well. But it's very interesting that it's the rejected aspect of us that calls us to adventure. It's that part of us that we have to reply to. And if we don't reply to that, if we don't answer the call to adventure, then we try to wall off that inner beast, that inner minotaur. And like I said, that's going to come back to us later when we hit that 13th moon. So that's all I wanted to bring to you today. It's a short video, and I know that there's more that could be said. I do plan on sharing a video about the Aries season and the Crucible, which I'm excited to share with you as well. So have a wonderful day, and thank you for exploring this avenue on the path of the seeker with me. Bye for now.